This show is brought to you by our friends at bayphoto.com. Head over after the show to print something amazing. Be sure to check out their specials at bayphoto.com/specials. So this one is from Susie over in Ohio, and we've seen many photos of her cat, Spanky. And so this is her posed for me in honor of the artist Rembrandt.
Oh, wow. Is this a double exposure? I mean, it must be, right? It's got to be. Because we have the cat and then we have the tapestry behind it, and they're overlaying each other. It's either double exposure or you basically put two together. But that's very cool. It looks like a painting. It's a beautiful pose. The cat is just so dignified, looking right at you. Wonderful colors, and the background gives it that painting look. This is great. Wonderful photograph.
Yes.
Very calm. There's a lot of calmness there. It's beautiful.
This one is from Adam. One of my favorite things when the fair comes to Madrid, Spain, is and I'm not going to try and pronounce that, but he says it's also known as the Transylvanian chimney cakes. These delicious pastries are made with a sweet dough that's wrapped around a wooden spool and cooked for about 7 minutes over a charcoal grill.
Well, that's pretty
And the
clever.
nice lady who made them allowed me to photograph her while she was making ours. Just wanted to share. And so there were several photos, but this was one that I really liked.
Yeah. So this is what I call what Dan Milner calls a
Yeah.
transitional shot. It doesn't really hold up on its own. It would be part of the story. Because on its own, it lacks some elements. It just doesn't have, to me, there is a center of interest in terms of the spindle thing, whatever that's called, and the spoon. But I'm sure there's some more interesting shots before and after
We've
it.
got a couple of other shots
Yeah,
here.
so
I can kind of
you're
go through
doing
them
like a
quick.
photojournalistic storytelling here. So it's probably going to end up being, like you have a series of frames, and by going through those frames, you tell a story. And it's hard to take any one of those apart and look at it by itself. So it needs to be part of the whole story. Yeah, see, that's another part. That looks really delicious. I mean, that crust on there looks incredible. So we can't really just critique one by itself. I would say the story itself is really interesting. I'd probably use a shallower depth of field on her, just to get rid of the bottles and stuff and the stuff in the background. I mean, you can do that in your post processing, but I would just say, shallower depth of field, so we're really focusing on each one of these elements would help. That'd be my main critique on that.
All right.
And Susie answered yes. No double exposure. Put two together. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, cool.
All right. This one is from Andrew, taking a photo of a couple of clowns.
Those are scary clowns.
Yeah.
Those are not fun clowns. Those are ones you want to get away from as quickly as you can. I love the black and white. The leading lines going up the stairs. It's a crazy bunch of imagery here, and it's an interesting photograph because you kind of, anytime a photograph leaves you asking questions. Bob Holmes said that's a good thing. Like, what are they doing? Are they kids? Are we at Halloween? What's the story? Those are questions. You don't need to tell me any of those things, because the thing is, you're leaving me with questions, which is a good thing. And the whole image is just like some kind of wild story going on. And it is a standalone, but it could also be part of a larger essay, photo essay, with maybe 5 or 6 different frames, like what are they doing, how they got dressed, whatever. But it will stand on its own. So good work on that one. A tiny little thing. I don't know if this was film. Go back to that. I don't know if it was film or you processed it digitally. I'd like to see a little more uh, dynamic range. Punch up the blacks a little bit more. Just spread it apart. And, Solar Effects Pro, if you haven't used that, if it was a digital image, would really help you do that. So it would just pull out some of the middle tones are a little too prominent. I'd like to stretch that out a little bit. Just pop up the dynamic range. But that's a processing point. All right. Who else?
All right, this one is from Chris. Blue Hour in Thailand. No
I
tripod
saw.
as traveling light. So best effort handheld with a wide open aperture, high ISO, in very little light. Taken with a Canon T6S with a 18 to 135 millimeter.
Yeah, the thing that really makes the blue hour work is when you have mixed lighting. Bob Holmes talks about that. And you do. You have the lights from this underneath the, whatever that is. I don't know what kind of lights they are. Tungsten, it looks like. And that mixed light always helps your blue light. Without that, it needs that extra punch there. Well done on hand holding under very extreme conditions. I'm not quite seeing a center of focus here that pulls me into the specific. There is the guy, I get it. There's something gesture missing. If he were doing something like this, or there's something coming from him, we call that a gesture or a punctuation point. He is the punctuation point, but we need something a little bit more to make that photograph pop. And the only other thing, well, I was going to say if you moved over to the left a little bit, you might have a little more contrast between him and the water. But if you do that, I think you're going to lose those lights. So it's really just patience, what we saw a moment ago, waiting 3 hours till something happened. You could cheat and wave at him. I mean, if he isn't moving, and just see what happens. Just until you get, some kind of a gesture out of him, and that would to me that would pull that image together. And there's
Hello,
River. You can hear River barking away. Okay. Andrew said the
Andrew
clown
Thomas.
image was shot around Halloween. It was part of the street fair, but I like the sense of mystery. Yeah, that's what we were talking about. It leaves you asking questions. Okay.
I think we got time for one more.
Yeah, one more, and
Release.
then we'll spring our surprise.
All right, this one
Nice.
is from Sharon. Nice photo here to end off on.
Yeah. I love reflections. I love the symmetry. I'm a big fan of that. Look at that smooth water, just glassy smooth, and it creates a double image, but it also comes across as one image. So you've got the sky, you've got the water. It's a cool image, and it works on its own. I mean, could we have a person in it? Sure, but it works on its own. There's just the feeling of symmetry. Like, it really looks like a painting to me, and black and white was definitely the right choice there, because it just feels right. I don't know. There's you can you can try to intersect what was going on with this and that, but sometimes it's just remember that's how you saw and felt, and it's that feeling you get. Does it make you feel like this is an aesthetic moment and I can get some emotion out of it? And it does that for me. So well done.
Yeah, I found the story with this one before we wrap up. On a cold, still morning, I drove not far from home in hopes of some fog. Disappointed I wasn't going to be getting a foggy morning, I decided to drive down to the river. The river was still, and there were birds singing their morning song, and the reflection was beautiful. The morning brought me peace and solitude, something that I desperately needed. I decided on black and white reflection shot as there was no interest in the sky.
Yeah, you got it. And that is the feeling I get. I get a very calm feeling. And then Andrew said it was shot on film. Bravo. You can still, I mean, since you were processing it digitally, you can still bump up the blacks. That would be my only suggestion. Okay, good. Well, thank you guys. Always great to see your work. Please keep posting in the AYP Club and helping each other out with your own critiques, your own comments, and that sort of thing. Please subscribe and enable the bell so you don't miss any of our new shows. Like the video and please share it and leave your comments. I love hearing from you. And remember to get out and capture your own images of life.